I often hear people discussing whether it is appropriate for a man to work out without a shirt on. As a woman, I do not think about it much unless the context clearly indicates that going shirtless is not suitable, or if the man is clearly showing off or acting inappropriately. This should not be confused with self-consciousness, which is understandable. I wonder if men feel uncomfortable without a shirt. Do you feel exposed? I understand feeling self-conscious. How do you perceive your upper body and chest? Do you view your chest similarly to your stomach or arm, or does it feel more private, though not as much as genitalia? Does it feel normal and appropriate to take your shirt off in certain contexts, such as swimming, exercising, or working outside? Is it simply a matter of context, where in some situations you should wear a shirt and in others you should not? From my perspective as a woman, men largely decide this for themselves. I appreciate male beauty and physique and find the chest and upper body to be areas that provide a sense of comfort and safety. Do men sense this from women? As I said, if the context was inappropriate, I would feel uncomfortable. But just as men appreciate women's bodies, I believe women do too, at least I do. Do you believe you appear attractive to women? I am genuinely curious about your personal feelings. Sorry for being so detailed. I am just truly curious. I wonder if men think about this much. Story 1. I am very fit and work out a lot, but I live in the city, so I would feel uncomfortable walking around without a shirt. Story 2. No, but I would feel self-conscious if I were shirtless somewhere where shirtlessness is not common. Do I feel beautiful to women? Well, I have never been unable to eventually find someone to date or spend time alone with, so I would wager I am beautiful to enough women. Story 3. I do not like it. I would feel naked and very uncomfortable. Besides, it is better if I have a shirt on. Story 4. I feel half naked without a shirt. My friends have told me I am attractive, so I trust their judgment. However, I am very private about most of my skin. I swim in a long-sleeve shirt and swim trunks. I do not care if people are side-eyeing me. Story 5. I do not like to take my shirt off in public. As someone else said, I do not really care if women think I am beautiful or not. Story 6. I don't really think about what people think of me shirtless during workouts. I usually wear a shirt and I work out at home, so I'm not sure it matters. I think you seem to appreciate men's bodies more than most women do. I'm a better than average looking guy, but I've never sensed that any women thought I was beautiful, manly or attractive. Occasionally, but certainly not beautiful. I would be surprised if I heard a woman say that about any guy in real life. That's how unusual I think it is. Story 7. No, I do not feel naked without a shirt. And I have no reason to believe women want to see me without a shirt. Certainly not beautiful. It is more like I do not care. I do kind of wish I was more objectified sometimes by women. Story 8-1. I mean, yes, I feel naked in my bare skin. Who does not? 2. Who cares if women who are not my wife think I am beautiful or not? I feel beautiful, and that represents 50% of the people whose opinions on the subject matter are relevant. Story 9. I do not even feel naked when I am naked. Strut with confidence. I do feel naked when I cannot find my keys, mobile phone, or debit card. Story 10. I feel fine shirtless if I am at home when no one can see or when I am at a beach or swimming pool where it makes sense, though I rarely go to those places. Aside from that, it feels strange. There is probably some degree of feeling inappropriate as well as self-conscious, which is compounded by the fact that I am not exactly attractive. There were a few occasions when I took off my shirt during a hike because it was hot, and I felt various uncomfortable emotions. Story 11. Not naked, but it is not something I am comfortable doing. I am a big fellow. I have stretch marks, fat rolls, and even a couple of scars from surgery I had a few years ago. Going shirtless is not for me. Story 12. I've always been most comfortable without a shirt, and how I look to women has never factored into it. I have good genetics, and I know I look good without a shirt, so it makes it easier, I guess. Story 13. I could not care less what women think about it. I take off my shirt to cool down. If I cared what every single woman thought and asked me to do, I would go insane in a month. Most women just cannot comprehend how little men care about what other people think. Story 14. No, no. Next. Edit to add. I do not feel beautiful in the way that I perceive beauty. However, if women find ruggedness, resourcefulness, and other traditionally masculine qualities beautiful, then I feel beautiful. Story 15. Yes, it's never common for most men to go without a shirt, but some of us do because of circumstances beyond our control. That usually does not happen. Scars from accidents or other causes keep us from showing our upper body. However, that does not mean we are any less attractive or appealing than those who do. To answer your question, yes, I feel attractive, but a lot of it is because I am a good communicator and have confidence in myself. You are not going to be right for everyone. I was not made for everyone. I was made for myself, so I live my life to the best of my abilities. Story 16. It really depends on context. At the beach, no problem. I even kind of feel attractive that way, but of course they will change with age, I am sure. In a restaurant, 100% I would feel naked. In my backyard doing heavy work in hot summer, no, I do not feel naked, but I do worry about unnecessary ultraviolet exposure. I will take my shirt off at the beach to stay cool, but at home where it is easy to go inside if I overheat, I would rather keep a shirt on to use less sunscreen and avoid melanoma. Story 17. I absolutely hate taking my shirt off in public, and I do not even do so at the beach. Literally, no one has seen me shirtless in about 15 years. I do not feel beautiful undressed at all. Story 18. I do not feel naked, but I feel very exposed and self-conscious. Do I feel beautiful? Absolutely not. I have never felt beautiful. Story 19. I have been feeling quite self-conscious these days. My breasts feel very noticeable, which makes me sad. I no longer feel attractive. I have always had a cute face and nice teeth, which has helped me somewhat. But COVID-19 disrupted my fitness routine. Working out shirtless has never appealed to me. Sweat dripping down chest hair and skin is uncomfortable compared to being absorbed by a shirt. I am lucky to be funny and able to motivate myself to complete chores because otherwise, I don't feel I have much value. I imagine some people find me attractive, but I am sure they would feel differently if I were shirtless. However, it is not others' opinions that matter most to me. Story 20. I feel naked without a shirt, and many men around me do not feel that way. I think it is about how you were raised by your parents. Story 21. I do not feel naked or beautiful. Rather, I feel like everyone around me is judging me, even if I am at the beach or a pool. I feel that all the people there are watching me and thinking I am a weirdo. I have social anxiety. Story 22. I am overweight, and everyone can see it whether I am clothed or not. I will take my shirt off at the beach, at a pool, or when changing after sports or the gym, but my body is not in appropriate shape to go for a walk or jog shirtless. As for feeling attractive to women, no, I do not believe that is possible for me. Story 23. Shirtless at the beach only. Thank you. I live in northern Thailand, and seeing a shirtless foreigner running around brings sneers of derision from the locals. I guess I have just gotten used to that mindset. I will not wear a sleeveless shirt either. Story 24. I would feel uncomfortable wearing a shirt in an area where all other men are shirtless. Men have insecurities just as much as women do. Speaking to my male friends, it is interesting how their insecurities sound. Thin men are insecure about being thin, and overweight men are insecure about being overweight. It is also sad when I see women complain about their bodies. I love the female form. I do not care if your body is not perfect. In fact, it is probably more perfect in my eyes than you will ever understand. I wonder if women think that way about men. Story 25. I feel strange with my shirt off outside my house. I do not consider myself beautiful as you described. I have never really felt attractive. I am often shirtless at home but usually wear a zip-up hoodie. Story 26. Sweaty skin on random surfaces is worse than sweaty skin on cotton, so I leave them on. I am out of shape and a t-shirt does not do anything to hide that, so the appreciation or insecurity side does not really matter. Story 27. When I was younger and looked better with my shirt off, I would take it off sometimes if the weather was hot and I was doing something like carpentry or camping. I used to do a lot of trail running, usually shirtless because I would get hot if I wore one. Even if the morning was on the cold side for Southern California, I would bear with the cold for a bit until my activity warmed me up. If I did wear a shirt, it always got wet and heavy, and I found that uncomfortable. Then, if I took it off, I had to carry it. Nobody seemed to mind, but I was very lean at the time and perhaps easy on the eyes. These days, I'm older, not as active, not as lean or tanned, and I don't really go shirtless in the company of others. I'm also more concerned about excessive sun exposure than I was when younger. My parents had some skin cancers removed, and I expect to get some sooner or later. Story 28. I barely have any fat or hair on my chest. I also have very thin arms and barely any muscle mass. Do I feel comfortable showing my chest naked? Absolutely not. I also have thin legs, which does not help my situation. Story 29. When I was around 20 years old and lived at the beach, I would only put on shirts to go to work. Now that I am around 50 years old, I cannot remember the last time I was shirtless in public. Story 30. I don't mind being shirtless but don't want to stand out or be disrespectful. So if it is reasonably appropriate and warm, I will go shirtless. Story 31. I don't care if I wear a shirt, but everyone tells me to put one on. I know I'm not beautiful. Moving on. Story 32. I feel exposed without a shirt unless it is in an appropriate context like the beach or pool. I would be embarrassed to take my shirt off in public because it feels inappropriate. However, I would feel comfortable taking off my shirt to hop in the pool. I can count on one hand the number of times I have been aware that I was considered aesthetically pleasing to someone, and it has always been about my eyes or hair. Story 33. I have always been self-conscious without a shirt. I get over it and power through. I am in decent shape, and I know I should not feel uncomfortable. Story 34. I feel more uncomfortable showing my stomach than my chest. Not because of self-conscious reasons, but because it makes me feel vulnerable. Do I feel beautiful to women? In the general sense, I like to think I do. Shirtless, however, no. I lost my six-pack, and my chest is the weakest part of my body, so there is not much muscle to see. Story 35. I don't feel uncomfortable with any level of undress. It's all skin. It's literally the same body that 50% of the population of the world has, and 90% the same as every other human. If I am working out at home, I typically wear nothing, except shoes and socks if I am in my basement with the heavy bag or weight bench. But if I am doing aerobic exercise or calisthenics in the living room or my bedroom, I don't wear a stitch. Why would I? Just to have another set of clothes to put in the hamper? Story 36. We have very little flexibility in what we are expected to wear for work or school, so it can feel strange. It felt unusual switching to tank tops around the house simply because I am expected to wear something with sleeves. Story 37. I have been in good shape my whole life. My feelings on this may be different from other men. I rarely wear a shirt at home. I do not even think about it. I am the same way with pants. However, I would not go to the grocery store without a shirt. Story 38. Depends on my fitness level. If I am in shape, I could be completely naked and not feel exposed. If I am not in shape, I need a shirt. I know I am attractive, but I can't say I've ever felt beautiful. I also can't say that I've ever thought about it. I'm not sure I care if women think I am beautiful. The closest I've come to that feeling is after I get a haircut or lineup. I definitely feel good about myself every 2 weeks, and only because I see myself in the mirror. Story 39. I don't mind being naked and would do that more often if it were acceptable here in the United States. At the beach, we all wear what we want anyway, so it is fine. When I am working at home or at a close friend's place, I am okay with shorts and no shirt. It does not feel public. When I was 20, I worked a summer job at a construction company. We did one job inside a building and were visible to office workers there. On that job, we were told to keep a shirt on and to wear something that was not all ripped up. Some jobs had safety requirements to keep sparks or grit off your body. Those often stated shirt and no loose clothing. Story 40. Do I feel weird? It depends on where. The main reason a man goes shirtless outside the beach is because he is excessively sweating, such as at the gym or doing yard work, so it does not get unpleasant. I would feel fine like that. In most places, you would feel weird. For example, at Walmart, you would normally not be shirtless. I feel no difference in terms of privacy. I could, if needed for some unusual reason, go about my life shirtless and feel fine. Personally, I do not feel attractive without my shirt because I am a skinny man, 5 feet 11 inches tall, weighing 120 to 125 pounds at age 25. There is not much to look at. Story 41. Do I feel naked? No. Self-conscious? Also no. Beautiful? I'm too fat for that. On the other hand, I don't care. The only woman whose opinion on my looks matters is married to me and says she loves me as I am. Story 42. You just have to accept that you look like a regular man and live your life. I do not feel beautiful, but I do not even know if I would ever want to feel that. Story 43. I don't feel naked, but I do walk around my house without a shirt on most of the time now, especially during the hot summer months. I started going to the gym last year and have gained some muscles that give a more defined look. That has helped with my confidence in how I look and feel about myself. My wife of 21 years really doesn't care that I walk around the house without a shirt on. If anyone comes over or I need to answer the door, I will put a shirt on, just out of respect for that person. Story 44. I am more or less comfortable being without a shirt in contexts where it is expected that a man would not be wearing a shirt, such as swimming. I do not feel particularly attractive when without a shirt and find it uncomfortable to be seen by most people when shirtless outside of a few specific circumstances. I am not overweight, but I am also not in very good shape. Taking my shirt off every time it is not strictly inappropriate is not very appealing to me, and I do not think it is very attractive to others. Story 45. Do men feel naked without a shirt? I wonder if men feel weird without a shirt. Do you feel naked? Self-conscious, I can understand. No, but I do feel more exposed and like I am being judged by how my body looks. Do you view your chest as similar to your stomach or arm, for example, or does it feel more private but not quite as much as genitalia? It feels more private, mainly because of that sense of being judged. Stomach and chest, not like genitalia though. I'd say stomach is less private than chest, which is less private than buttocks, which is less private than genitals in terms of sense of privacy. Does it feel normal or appropriate to take a shirt off in certain contexts like swimming, exercising, or maybe working outside? Normal? Not really, since it's not something I normally do. It feels necessary in situations like swimming. I don't work out shirtless. Even when I'm alone in the backyard, I'd be wary of taking off my shirt because I might be seen by someone. Do you feel attractive to women? I appreciate male beauty and physique and find the chest and upper body to be a place that provides a sense of comfort and safety. Do men sense this from women? I am 5 feet 2 inches tall, so I don't think I physically inspire safety in any women beyond them feeling like they could pick me up and throw me across the room if I tried anything. Story 46. I don't know if I've ever used the word beautiful to describe myself. I would generally use that to describe a female. I have no issues taking my shirt off. I can do work around my house without my shirt because it's my property. When you go swimming, I don't know any man affiliated with me who has ever worn a shirt while swimming. Regarding working out in a gym, I've never seen a gym that allowed men to take their shirts off during a workout. I would think that would be inappropriate. In fact, several gyms where I have had memberships during my lifetime prohibited removing your shirt during your workout. Story 47. Kind of. I would feel uncomfortable being shirtless if I am going into a pool, but not if I am just sitting around the pool or on the beach. The only other places outside my house where I will go shirtless are when I am playing non-co-ed soccer pickup games. Story 48. I wear a shirt unless it would get in the way. Working outside, it keeps dust, weeds, trees, rocks, and bugs off my skin. On a beach, it protects my skin from the sun. Multiple family members had skin cancer, so I am not going to risk it. When working out, my wife alone will appreciate the fully bare physique. I have never understood the need for yoga pants and similar clothing. Slightly loose clothing is much more comfortable for exercising, in my experience. I might consider forgoing a shirt for swimming, but that is about it. Story 49. No, I do not feel naked without a shirt. No, I do not feel attractive to women. I am not shy about being naked or shirtless in front of people. When I joined the army, I spent several months living in a large room with 64 of my closest friends. Public nudity was almost unavoidable, and I am not very worried about it. I make sure to wear clothes in places where people will see me. For example, when I had roommates, I made sure to get dressed or wear a robe when leaving my room, out of respect for others and their desire not to see me naked. Story 50. I feel a bit uncomfortable mostly due to my pale skin. I definitely do not feel attractive. That has never been a factor for me in any situation. Story 51. I hate being shirtless unless I am in the privacy of my home. Feels in fact like being naked. I also do not really like swimming simply because I have to take my shirt off. Story 52. No, I do not feel naked without a shirt. And no, I do not assume women are attracted to me by default unless they say so. Story 53. When I was a child, I never worried about it, but as an older man, I feel that I am just too large to subject the world to that. Working out at a gym, everyone should be covered in a gym to prevent sweat from getting everywhere. No doubt women love six-pack abs, and if I had them, I would flaunt them. To be fair, if I had a very large penis, I would flaunt that as well. Story 54. I don't feel naked without a shirt on, but I am not completely comfortable walking around shirtless either. Losing weight has helped, but it has not completely fixed it. I definitely do not feel beautiful to women, but I no longer think I am ugly either. Story 55. It depends on the situation and the environment. I would never go shirtless in the gym because I do not have the right to get my sweat all over a workout bench, even if I wipe it down afterward. That would be rude to others. Going shirtless while jogging or at the beach is not a problem. Story 56. No, I feel I have not experienced this from women. I usually sense indifference. I do feel naked without a shirt. My chest and arms are okay. I like to know I can lift things. My belly is a more private area. The hair below my belly button makes me feel like I am revealing myself a lot. I feel it is appropriate to go shirtless if I am swimming, outside in the full sun because it is hot, or with no shirt in my own home. I think a shirt should be worn while eating or at the gym. I want to feel beautiful though. Maybe I would be shirtless more often. Story 57. Currently on holiday in Hotland. I can confirm that going to the bar or participating in the activities the hotel offers feels weird and makes me self-conscious without a top on. I console myself by remembering that everyone else does it, and people of many different ages and sizes join in. Story 58. I feel strange without a shirt. I think as soon as a man takes his shirt off, regardless of the situation, he will be judged by both men and women. I do not take my shirt off unless I am at home or in the water. Story 59. 37 years old. Married for 9 years, with my spouse for 12 years now. My experience in dating has shown that women can be just as visual as men. I have an athletic build and am a gym enthusiast. I usually had several women approach me when dating. Several encounters occurred at festivals where I did not wear a shirt, at the beach, or after working out. I am totally comfortable whether clothed or unclothed. Story 60. A little, in the sense that I feel like I am putting part of my body on display. However, it really does not bother me if the context makes it acceptable. I actually feel a little more beautiful without a shirt on. I cannot say the same for the lower half, but even then, in the right company and setting, it can be quite positive. Do I feel beautiful in general? It depends on whether I have taken care of myself in the past few days. Is my hair washed, skin clear and clean, and am I wearing clothes that I feel good in? Then yes. A compliment from a woman goes a long way as well, but they are few. Story 61. When I see shirtless men at raves, I find it unpleasant and feel uncomfortable at the thought of bumping into them. Outdoor exercise with space, such as running or tennis, is acceptable but can come across as showing off. Swimming is natural and makes sense to me. I do feel exposed without a shirt on. I would say the upper chest, stomach, and upper thigh fall into the same category. I am not self-conscious about it, as I have a decent athletic build with some muscle in reserve. However, exposing those areas as a man seems distasteful unless swimming. Sleeveless shirts feel fully clothed. Regarding whether I feel attractive to women, yes, when my forearms get a good pump from a climbing workout. I believe all other aspects and musculature of the male body, unless resembling a pop star, are mostly appreciated by other men. Story 62. I personally don't find the upper body to be extremely private, but I am self-conscious about how I look, so I try not to subject people to the horror that is my body. At most, I'll have an undershirt on when I'm doing something that really makes me sweat. For example, at a recent pool party, I just wore a t-shirt into the pool. But that is more because I feel like it is not something people would want to see. Story 63. I guess it depends on your self-confidence and the setting. Personally, I like going shirtless when it is appropriate, but I am from Florida, where you will be completely drenched in sweat from head to toe within minutes of leaving the house. Story 64. Funny. I got to the point where I was okay with being overweight and shirtless. No one really wanted to look at you anyway. Then I lost the weight. I think I have a dad body, but whenever I say that, people disagree vehemently. I have 4 abs. The muffin top is hard to pinch, but still pinchable. You get the idea. Now I feel super self-conscious when I take off my shirt. People look now, and I feel like a schmuck taking off my shirt because I think people are judging me somehow. Yes, I feel more confident, but I had accepted being the 300-pound guy in the Hawaiian shirt. So now, going from no one looking to people noticing you is a hard transition. And what's worse, I am not used to people making eye contact. So I am just minding my own business and I see eyes looking back at me and sometimes they smile, which is totally not a normal thing for me. I freeze and stare, trying to make sense of this new type of situation. I then freak out because I wonder how long I have been staring, and then I either run away or avert my gaze in the most obviously awkward way. I don't even want to know what that looks like without the perspective of knowing how much I am freaking out on the inside. Anywho, that's my 2 cents. Story 65. I think younger, fitter me may have been seen as attractive to women. Now, I am sure anyone else's reaction is essentially indifferent. That is about my attitude too. I do not feel naked. I do not feel desirable. I just do not care. If my shirt is off, it is because it is hot and I am more comfortable this way. Story 66. Minor digression. When I watched Game of Thrones, this quote from the Walk of Atonement got me thinking, so there she is, high and mighty Queen Cersei, her body moving in the breeze. Suddenly, she looks my way and gives me a little smile like, well, if you've watched the show, you know what happens next. Every time I admire a woman showing off her body, curves, or skimpy top, I think back to this quote and imagine her looking back at me, like, well, so yeah, you have to have the confidence to be measured up. And if I don't because I'm unfit or overweight, it's time to work on improving that so I can keep up with the girls I want to pursue. Story 67. With the risk of sounding vain, I know the way I look. I know many women find me attractive, but I also know that not everybody likes Asian men. There's no skin off my back. When do I take off my shirt? When I am going to be wet, when I am changing, or when I need my shirt for something else immediately. Also, I did a pas de deux once at Worlds where being shirtless was part of my costume. I do not feel naked, but I also do not feel like it is appropriate for me to be seen in public like that. I wear pajamas to sleep. If I can help it, I wear rash guards or wetsuit tops at the beach or pool respectively. I like to be covered. Story 68. I don't feel uncomfortable shirtless. I take care of my body and have been bodybuilding for years. When my cuts are done, I have washboard abs and muscles. In the winter, I'm less defined but not fat. Either way, I have no problem being shirtless or even naked in front of other people. Growing up playing sports, I was often naked in front of other males and never thought about it. I don't view going shirtless as being naked, but I do consider it a dress code. If I'm going to the beach or the pool, it's implied that people will be shirtless, so it's not an issue. However, at the gym, generally everyone wears a shirt, and I would feel out of place not wearing one. Therefore, I prefer to wear a shirt at the gym. When running on a hot day outdoors or hiking in the wilderness, I can take my shirt off without feeling awkward. Regarding feeling attractive, I imagine women might find my muscles appealing when my shirt is off. My wife notices when other women are looking at me because I am 6 feet 5 inches tall, but typically, I am unaware. I don't feel sexualized about my chest. I could be standing shirtless in the middle of a church and would not feel naked or sexual, though I might feel foolish. Society does not sexualize male chests or nipples the way it does female breasts. If a male and female stood side by side in public, the female would attract more attention because female breasts are generally seen as sexual body parts. This varies worldwide, but in the United States, it is generally frowned upon for women to be topless at the beach. My wife and I have visited topless and nude beaches worldwide where it is considered normal and appropriate. This is a societal and cultural issue, and the United States is more conservative in this regard. There has been some progress with the Free the Nipple campaign, but it is unlikely to be widely accepted anytime soon. Story 69. My favorite time of year is the 2 4-day metal festivals in my country where I am shirtless all day. The same happens in the mountains almost every week. Story 70. I love not wearing a shirt. Feels natural, and even though I am 20 pounds overweight with most of that in my gut, I have no problem letting that bad boy out. Story 71. I'm completely comfortable going shirtless. I'm in good shape and I have a tattoo that I really like, so I feel no shame in going shirtless. I also don't feel any shame changing clothes and stripping down to just my underwear at the side of the road. I don't have much shame about my body for pretty much anything. I don't feel beautiful, but my girlfriend tells me that I am, so I trust her on that. Story 72. For a lot of my life, I was just super self-conscious and hyper-aware in general. But then I stopped caring one day because I wanted to hang out with a group of friends in the pool. Most of the insecurity came from not having any group like that to do that with, so everything felt like me versus the world, looking at me with a magnifying glass. Story 73. When I was overweight, it bothered me. Once I got fit, I realized I kind of liked being seen because it took hard work and discipline. Not that I would go shirtless for just any reason, but I certainly was not self-conscious. Story 74. I don't think I have ever felt self-conscious from having my shirt off. However, I also don't think you should take your shirt off in a public gym. If you need to remove your shirt to get a good workout, then go buy equipment and fill up your garage. Story 75. I only feel uncomfortable if I know people around me do not like it. If I were the type of person people like to see, I think I would not care if people saw. I do not know. The verdict is still out on that one. Feels somewhat naked to me. I have always worn a shirt at all times unless I am showering or swimming. Story 76. Never given it much thought. Going topless in appropriate settings is more for my comfort than to show off or be admired. I have a decent body now, but I wouldn't say that I feel beautiful as a woman. Story 77. My ideal outfit for just existing is bare-chested, shorts, and sneakers, but I only have enough courage to do that during music festivals. Story 78. Most men do not really have the body for it. I think women are not primarily visual. They appreciate a good body but probably get tired of seeing a shirtless man if it is all the time or done inappropriately, such as when people are visiting. I occasionally walk around the house without a shirt when I am cleaning or have finished exercising, but in general, I do not think shirtlessness is coming back like it was in the 1970s and 1980s. Story 79. I certainly feel exposed without a shirt, unless it is at the beach or changing clothes. My chest does not feel the same as my arm. My arms or lower legs are the only parts that are commonly exposed. Even shoulders feel weird. Sometimes I am baffled at how many women are comfortable showing so much of their body, like legs, stomach, shoulders, cleavage, and often a lot of their back. All with normal clothes, nothing indecent. I do not think I could ever do that. Story 80. After getting top surgery, I am completely comfortable with my chest without a shirt. I view it the same as my biceps. My chubby tummy is what makes me feel weird. Story 81. I started getting tattoos on my torso. I had previously only heavily tattooed my legs. Now I cannot keep a shirt on. I am not physically fit. I weigh 213 pounds and I am 6 feet tall. Story 82. I do sometimes, except at the beach. I think this stems from growing up around the city rather than the coast. Story 83. My surgical scars are not going to show themselves off, and I love them too much to keep them hidden from sight. I love when people stare, or even better, when they approach and inquire. I used to be the kid that wore a t-shirt in the pool. Now, I love the body I made for myself. Even if it is a little unique and non-standard, I still think I am attractive. Story 84. No, I do not care to be naked or shirtless, but the only times I'm not fully dressed are at my place or the locker room where I change. Otherwise, I just do not like showing off my muscles. Even at the beach, I keep my shirt on unless I am swimming. Story 85. Yes, being shirtless is inappropriate and unpleasant unless you are on a beach, sleeping, or showering. It is purely for showing off, which makes it clear that you are just being rude. Story 86. Unless I am going swimming or at the beach, I wear a shirt. Working out with a shirt is not so much about covering up, but I do not want direct contact with gym equipment. If I were not doing anything that required my back to touch surfaces, I would probably be fine. Story 87. No, but I also do not wear clothes as often as possible, anywhere I am allowed. So I probably count as an outlier here. To answer the second question, do I feel beautiful? You bet I do. Although my body acne has been flaring up lately, and that does not help. Story 88. I really do not care. For most of my life, I have not given a damn about it, except maybe a few years when I was a teenager, for no other reason than being a teenager with the insecurities that come with that. A couple of years ago, I was a bit chubbier, but I still did not care at all. It did not even cross my mind in whatever context I was shirtless. I would not say I felt particularly attractive to women, more like neutral, indifferent. In the past year, I have been working out a lot for multiple reasons, and I do feel prouder to show my body. It still does not bother me. As far as I am concerned, I can go grocery shopping shirtless without worry. The main reason I do not is because I know many do not find it socially acceptable, and some would be bothered by it. I am not bothered, but others might be, and I do not want to cause unnecessary discomfort without good reason. So it is mostly about being considerate and not about personal insecurity. I would love to go shirtless everywhere on a hot day. That said, I sometimes push the limits of what is generally socially acceptable if it is really hot, but I try not to blatantly disregard everyone. Story 89. I am neutral about it. I definitely do not feel beautiful, but if I have a good reason to take off my shirt and it is appropriate, then sure. Story 90. So much to read, but I will just answer the question. I have never worked out shirtless, but I would. The gym lights are great. I take my shirt off to admire myself, flex, and see which muscles are lacking, need work, or are doing well. I would work out shirtless every day if I could, and I do not care about the opinions of others. If you are insecure about yourself, keep your shirt on, I guess. Story 91. Why would femboys exist if no man ever wanted to feel pretty? Some are even straight. It is strange for some to think about, but people are not that different, and honestly, why would they be? Story 92. I have major surgical scars. I generally only remove my shirt around people who know me well enough to understand the story behind them. At the beach or pool, I always wear a rash guard. My gym has a dress code that does not allow exposed nipples for males or females. Story 93. In public places that are not pools? Yes. Do I feel beautiful to women? Absolutely not. I am deeply ashamed of my appearance and will likely die alone because of it. Story 94. I never go out without a t-shirt on. The only time I go without one is at home, and only my wife sees me then. Story 95. I am completely okay being without a shirt on. At the gym, I will remove it if I am getting very hot and it is a CrossFit type workout. When mowing the lawn, I will remove it to get some sun. Story 96. The only time I go shirtless is when swimming and mowing the lawns on 40-degree days here in Sydney. I don't feel naked, but I am confident when I go shirtless. Story 97. Second question. No, I never feel beautiful to women. I never do. I feel like I am a gross monster, and just glancing at me makes them feel sick. Story 98. Probably about as naked as a girl feels wearing a sports bra or a bikini top. Maybe just a tiny bit, but not really. However, those of us who are more self-conscious about our bodies probably feel that way more than the rest. Story 99. I would never describe myself as beautiful. However, I have broad shoulders and an inverted V-shaped body, so I am completely comfortable being shirtless in an appropriate environment. Story 100. But in the same way men appreciate women's bodies, I think women do too, at least I do. Do you feel beautiful to women? I am curious about the personal sense that you have. I think about this a lot. The male gaze in media makes it easy for women to know what parts of themselves are attractive to men and what they can wear to feel confident. Men do not get nearly as much of that, and it leaves me wanting a way to feel attractive to women. I am constantly looking, not staring, at women and appreciating their beauty, both their faces and their bodies. Sometimes I embarrassingly get caught taking a glance at a butt or a chest, but I never catch women checking me out. At least I do not recognize it if they do. So no, I do not feel beautiful to women. I am working hard at the gym to get to a place where I will feel confident and attractive with my shirt off, but I have a ways to go. Story 101. I have always hated wearing a shirt. It's more comfortable for me not to wear one. But if I'm the only one shirtless, I become self-conscious. If someone comments on it, whether positive, negative, or neutral, I feel self-conscious and put my shirt back on. I am rather fit, even though my chest is not very defined, so I cannot be that bad to look at. However, I have never felt beautiful to anyone. Story 102. The idea that I would feel differently about my stomach than my chest is interesting to me. I guess women might, but as a man, it's all kind of the same. I am not comfortable walking around with my shirt off without a good reason. I am pretty confident about my body when flexed or pumped, less so otherwise. My stomach does not look very good without keeping my core active. Beaches, pools, or performing manual labor are pretty much the only times I am shirtless outside of my home, unless I am in my own backyard working out or tanning, which I do occasionally. I also do not tend to walk around my house unclothed. Despite sleeping in my boxers, I usually do not lounge around less than fully clothed unless it is really hot. Story 103. It is uncomfortable if someone else is present, but if I am alone, I do not care. Feels good. I just do not do it in public. Story 104. I wonder if men feel uncomfortable without a shirt. I am overweight. If I go without a shirt, it is because my house is on fire and it started in my shirt drawer. Do you feel attractive to women? No, I feel like a worthless person making women feel bad by merely existing. Story 105. Yes, I do feel naked without a shirt on. The only comfortable places for me are the bathroom and my room. Story 106. I would not go shirtless now because I think I am too fat. When I was younger, I would not go shirtless because I thought I was too skinny. Story 107. I used to be the first person at a party to strip down like a fool, but these days I do not even like seeing myself with my shirt off. My wife and children tell me all the time that nobody cares when I am at the beach or swimming pool, but I cannot stand it personally. Story 108. I have always been self-conscious about my weight. I have some bad memories from school because of it. I used to work out in my 20s, so now I am chubby but have muscle mass underneath. You could call it a dad build, but my girlfriend tells me I am attractive without a shirt, and I believe her. I am not perfect, but I have much more confidence now. Story 109. I don't really ever have a reason to take my shirt off like that. If it is hot, taking the shirt off is not going to help me that much, and I generally do not try to show off. It is also far more likely I will be chilly without a shirt because my body is very effective at losing heat. I find the chest to be slightly private, but not very much. If I had a reason to take my shirt off, sure, I could do it. No, I do not feel attractive to women. I am so out of shape I look like a newborn horse. Story 110. It depends on whether I ate sweets or not, because I do not like looking like I have a muffin top or have a sugar tummy. If I ate decently or well, I would not mind, but I prefer not to. Too many times, ladies grab my pectoral muscle and grab the hairs. Story 111. I am good without one. I am also good with one. I do not need to take my shirt off to feel attractive to women. I am what would be referred to as an intermediate lifter in the gym, but I am not rocking a six-pack. Story 112. I've always had a bit of a dad bod with a small gut, but you can see the outline of my upper abs if I tighten up. I have never felt confident going shirtless. I feel like my chest is as private as my lower thighs, not something I show off, but if you catch a glimpse, oh well. My stomach is more like my upper thighs, a personal area that I do my best to keep concealed. Story 113. No, it does not seem strange unless you are in a setting where it would be. It has never occurred to me what women think of a man's chest, other than I would not expect they care or notice. Women tend to be focused on their own issues or looking at their phones, usually enough that I would not expect them to notice men. Story 114. I come from a rural village in Southeast Asia. No man wears a shirt during the day unless there is an official function or something similar. Women do not wear shirts. They just wear sarongs, tied high to cover their chests. Do I feel beautiful? No. Do I feel naked? No. Story 115. I'm pretty confident in myself. I'm comfortable being nude, so being shirtless doesn't bother me at all. Do I think I'm beautiful or attractive? As a woman now, but I'm also bisexual, and myself doesn't really do it for me. That might have something to do with the fact that since COVID-19, I've gained 80 pounds. Pre-COVID-19 weight was different, especially since I went shirtless a lot and I was told that often. Story 116. I don't feel naked being shirtless in places where shirtlessness is acceptable or expected. It feels more normal with swimming trunks than with jeans. At the pool, at the beach, working in the yard, working out, or playing sports are all normal places for it. Walking around at work or the mall shirtless would be awkward. I wouldn't feel naked, but I would feel underdressed. It is almost like walking around in just your underwear. Story 117. Most of the time, I prefer not to be shirtless because I do feel naked without a shirt. I'm a bit insecure about my upper body. My pectoral muscles are slightly oversized for my body frame, similar to mild gynecomastia, and I'm not confident about showing off my abdominal muscles or V-line. I'm also self-conscious about my pale skin. I have been working out for a few years now, but I don't want to appear like I'm showing off. I have some features to show off, but I'm not very muscular, so it feels more private to me. I'm not sure if I'm attractive to women, but I do have some features that could be considered attractive, such as my abdominal muscles and V-line. A few older women have shown interest, even suggesting I should shave so my abs would be more visible. I have no idea if I'm attractive to women my age because they generally don't look at me or compliment my appearance. However, I have gained some confidence from women who are at least 1 or 2 decades older than me. I'm not sure how I feel about all this. I'm self-conscious about how other men see me, and I tend to compare myself to other men's builds. I feel more exposed around other men than around women because I am more likely to compare myself to them when shirtless. Also, it seems the women I am interested in are not really looking at my body anyway. Story 118. I am never comfortable shirtless anywhere. Really? Even when I used to be thinner, it felt too exposed. Story 119. I am in great physical shape but avoid taking my shirt off. I just dislike that kind of attention. Story 120. I do not feel naked without a shirt or beautiful to women. I do feel capable in my body. I put a lot of time into physical training and martial arts, but I view my body from the perspective of capability, utility, and performance, not beauty. As to why I don't feel beautiful to women, I don't feel beautiful to women because they have never actually expressed that I am beautiful to them. If they are not willing to do that, then I must not be beautiful to them. That's the breaks. Story 121. I feel uncomfortable being shirtless because I consider myself to be extremely overweight right now. When I am in shape, I do not really care either way. If I take my shirt off during a workout, it is because it is very hot and I want to cool down through evaporation. When the workout is over, as soon as I have caught my breath and cooled down a bit, the shirt goes back on. Story 122. My partner likes it when I do not wear a shirt. Since I have been embracing the dad body, it has been boosting my confidence. Story 123. I have a dad bod, and I am not going shirtless. You can appreciate the comfort of my dad bod while it is under my shirt. It is not that I feel naked without a shirt. I just have no desire to expose anyone to my bare top half. Story 124. I feel like it would take me a long time to be comfortable without a shirt around other people. I am not in the best shape right now, and I have gynecomastia. I also do not like other aspects of my appearance, such as how I cannot grow chest hair. Story 125. Unless a man is insecure about his body, going shirtless is the ultimate level of comfort for us. It is usually not about feeling beautiful to others. Being shirtless is what feels right. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.